And welcome to another episode of South Texas Crossfire. This is Attorney Joe Flores reminding you to join us each and every week right here on KTMV, the Lopez family. Don Humberto celebrating 50 years of broadcasting, and also my good friend Carlos Lopez and all his family who make this happen, not only here on Channel 6, Time Warner, but also in San Antonio, Channel 21, soon to be Channel 23, over there at Time Warner San Antonio, and also Laredo. We are on CBS right after CSI and right before Wheel of Fortune. And let's not forget YouTube, where you can see us all the time. Just go to www.youtube.com and put the search term on there, either my name, Joe Flores, or put South Texas Crossfire, and 100 uploads and growing, thanks to our friends Jordan and Dan and Dave over there at Real Simple Productions, the guys who produce our show. Thank you so much. With me today, I have the distinct pleasure of introducing a great friend of mine and an excellent attorney, and his name is Joel Gonzalez. Let me tell you a little bit about Joel. Welcome, Joel.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, graduated from Cleveland Marshall Law School, back, and you worked with Willie D. from 1953. William D. Bonilla cut your teeth. Now you're out on your own. And one of the areas that you handle, but by the way, congratulations on his new addition, boy or girl?
It's a boy. Thank you.
Congratulations. What's boy?
4 months old.
Oh my goodness! Is he sleeping through the night?
Finally. He's sleeping through the night.
Well, you know, I know that you handle disability. I know that you handle personal injury. I know that you've handled family law. I mean, the gamut you've handled. But today, I'm honored to have you on here because, ladies and gentlemen out there, we're going to be talking about the B word, bankruptcy. And a lot of people out there shudder when they hear that. Joel, I mean, you know, I'm just gonna lay the cards on the table. Let's just jump in feet first. When people hear bankruptcy, it's like 1929 stock market crash. I'm jumping out the window. I mean, it's over, financial ruin. And is that necessarily true?
I don't think so. I think that is the common conception, at least when you first hear the B word, bankruptcy, probably most people jump the gun and assume financial failure. But I would have to say, in most cases, it's taking financial responsibility because you're addressing your personal financial problems square. You're not avoiding them, you're dealing them. And right now, with the recession and the foreclosure crisis, it's taking financial responsibility because you're doing something, consumers are doing something to protect the family home.
Well, and you bring up a very interesting point. You know, one of the things that that we had talked about before the show, and I had a ton of questions for you, was that the homeowners right now, ladies and gentlemen out there, I know many people are just getting by. The price of milk and the price of gas are about the same. Things aren't easy for people out there. It's hard to make your payments. It's hard to make your minimum credit card payments. And sometimes bankruptcy is your ultimate solution, short-term or long-term, to try to solve some problems and get you out of debt. So with that, we're honored to have Joel Gonzalez on here because we're going to be talking about bankruptcy in this first part of the show. We're going to talk about the anatomy of it, what bankruptcy is, how you go, you know, how does it start, the whole process. And so you're going to get a little primer education. But I want you to remember, this does not constitute the legal advice that you seek for a specific case. If you want that, pick up a phone, look at the Bar Association, call the attorney of your choice. Just remember, everybody's specific case is different, but we're going to be talking about the general whole principle of bankruptcy. Let's start out with that. What is bankruptcy?
Well, that concept, to put it in a definition, is going to be difficult, but I'll do my best to simplify it. Bankruptcy is a process allowed by federal law. It's for both the benefit of the creditor and the debtor to either administer the estate, pay off your debts, or wipe away your debts where there's no ability to pay. By the way, most people can keep everything they own.
Really?
Yes. You are allowed generally 2 choices. You have the federal exemptions. In Texas, you can choose to exempt your property under the federal exemptions or the Texas Constitution exemptions. For example, people with single-family homes. Texas allows you a homestead exemption. For those that don't have a lot of equity, they might be interested in applying the federal exemptions. For example, if somebody owns, and really we could spend a whole hour just discussing the exemptions, but we're just touching the surface here.
What are exemptions, by the way? A lot of people will say, wait a minute, I've heard about exemptions like when I do my taxes and when I do this, but when you talk about exemptions, does that mean what you can keep in bankruptcy?
That's exactly right. You know, Texas law allows you to keep a vehicle if you're single, 2 vehicles if you're married, and the policy reason behind it is because, well, everyone needs a vehicle to get to and from work.
Right.
If you were to liquidate all of your property, then you wouldn't have a successful, or at least your opportunity to successfully repay some of your debts. If we're talking about a Chapter 13, well, that would be diminished if you had to turn your car over. You wouldn't have an ability.
Well, how can you pay your debts?
Right.
I mean, you can't go to work.
But in the typical Chapter 7, most people, they don't have any non-exempt assets. So for those individuals, they actually will be able to keep everything that they own if they qualify for a Chapter 7 and go forward. They'll truly get the fresh start provided they qualify and eliminate all of the unsecured debts.
Well, and by you mean fresh start, you know, a lot of people say, well, then I'll just run out. I'm having too much trouble. You know, the creditors are calling me on the phone. And by the way, that's another show, how you can stop them harassing you at work if your boss says so. And other times they need to be calling at proper times, not 4 in the morning or 10 at night when you're putting the kids to sleep. But that's another show altogether, and I hope you come and join us on that show too. But anyway, what we're looking at is a lot of people will say, well, I'll just file bankruptcy. I mean, you know, they'll say, Joel, I'm going to come to you and I want to file bankruptcy. Is it that easy just for somebody to throw the towel in and just say, I'll just start fresh?
Well, yes, typically anybody could file bankruptcy, but it is harder to file Chapter 7. As you recall, in 2005, Congress passed the Bankruptcy Reform Act. And with that particular act, they've made some changes. One of the changes is they've implemented what's called a means test, and that's another hour, by the way. This means test could be looked upon as a hurdle, but very simply put, it's like this. We look at the household, we look at the number of individuals in your household, and then we compare that to the Texas median income for a household of your size. If you are above the median income, then you are required to calculate a means test. Generally, the attorney's firm or the attorney staff will help you with this process. Now, just because you're at the median or above the median, that doesn't mean that you have passed the means test and that you have the ability to repay your debts. It simply means you have to go through the steps and calculate this.
Whoa, 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 whoa! The means test. You know, in other words, if somebody's making a decent wage as a teacher and their husband works for Citco or something and they're making, you know, 100 grand a year. I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at. They're doing well, but in this economy, even then you're struggling. Now that means test, and they say, look, we've got 50,000 in debt. We're about to lose our home. We went a little crazy spending because we never made that much money, and then we hit college and then we graduated. And I'm a teacher. He's an engineer. We're professionals. We're making money. We thought we were, but now we've gotten in over our head. And they've come to you. I mean, is that a typical? I know you told me people who declare bankruptcy are not deadbeats for the most part ever. They're people from all walks of life. But I mean, when they come to you, how do you apply this means test?
Well, in the example that you've just provided, assuming that we have a foreclosure problem, they're facing foreclosure, Chapter 7 wouldn't even come into my mind, because really Chapter 7 wouldn't be the option to save a home. You would want to file, generally, you want to file a Chapter 13. By the way, I don't think the example you gave me, they would qualify for a Chapter 7 anyway, because it does appear that they would have too much income. That simply means that when we calculate all of their debt, their secured debt and unsecured debt, and we calculate of how much disposable income they would have over the next 5 years, if a substantial portion of that debt, if they have the disposable income to pay this debt, then going forward into Chapter 7 would be considered an abuse. And that's Congress's way, at least with the Bankruptcy Reform Act, of moving more people into a Chapter 13, which incidentally is the most common bankruptcy for consumers out there.